Welcome back. Chapter 4, Installing Software. You've just went out and purchased a new computer, new laptop, what have you, maybe even a new cell phone, and it comes with a particular version of system software, whether it's a Mac, Windows, even perhaps a Linux machine. But you want to get some application software so that you can install the software that'll let you do extra things. In this particular example, I want to show you a piece of software. It's free software called Blue Griffin, Next Generation Web Editor. But basically, whether it's a free piece of software like this or Microsoft Office, or it doesn't really matter, regardless of the application software, you want to buy something or download something that's going to give your computer that extra functionality, and you're going to have to install it. In most cases, the software that you install has a particular set of requirements. For example, you can see on this software, if I'm using OS X version 10.6 and above. So if I want to download this and install it on my Mac, I need to have at least version 10.6 and above with an Intel 32 or 64-bit processor. Well, if I check out the specs for this particular Mac, you can see that I'm actually using Macintosh OS X 10.10.3, and it's taking a sec to pop up, but there it is. And you can see that I am using an Intel Core 2 Duo processor, and in this particular case, it's a 64-bit processor. So I meet those requirements. And this is a relatively old machine. This machine's about 5 or 6 years old. So it meets the requirements. It's been upgraded a time or two, but it meets the requirements. If I'm using a Windows computer, Windows XP 7 or 8, I may have to download this extra piece of software here to make it work. We'll try that out in just a few minutes. But I want you to notice that it does say Windows XP, Windows 7, or Windows 8. It does not mention Windows Vista, which came, remember, between XP and 7. That's pretty common. A lot of Windows software works on XP, works on 7, works on 8, but it doesn't work on Vista. So if your computer is, say, a year, maybe 2 years old or newer, you're probably going to be fine with the system software, with the amount of hard drive space required, with the memory required. You're probably going to be fine. However, if your computer is older than 2 years, you definitely need to check out the system software requirements. This way, you're sure that you don't buy something you can't use or download something you can't use. Whenever you decide that you're going to get this application software, let's say this particular piece of software, you're going to need to go out, download the application, or put the CD in the drive, whatever it happens to be, and actually go through the installation process. In this chapter, I want to talk specifically about installing software both on Windows and on Mac, as well as uninstalling software and then using some software as a service or some cloud-based software. So here on a Mac, we'll look at this one in particular. Just about every Macintosh software that you download is going to be a DMG file, and you can see over here I've already downloaded the file. So to install this software, all I have to do is double-click it. When you double-click the file, a couple of things are going to happen on a Mac. In this particular case, it's going to verify, it's going to open the file. Some cases, it actually goes through the installation process without asking you any questions, but in most cases, it'll ask you a few things. Do you want to install it here? What is your name? Do you have a license agreement? And that's another thing we want to talk about as well. Even free software has some form of a license. It is not copyleft. A lot of folks know about copyright. Well, the opposite of that would be copyleft. Even though it's free software, there is someone or some company who created it, and they own the rights to that software. So you definitely need to be sure not to break any copyright laws. Here in this particular case, you'll see it says drag the little bird over to my applications folder, and I could do that down here. I could drag it to the applications folder at the bottom, or just drag it right there, and that will actually begin the installation process. Mac is a little bit different. In most cases on a Macintosh, whenever you drag the software over, all it does is kind of unzip the software and copy it to your applications folder. That's about all that has to happen. On a Windows machine, however, if I flip over here to my Windows machine, you'll notice same software. I'm using Windows 7, so I'm good there. I've already downloaded the software over here. You can see it is on a Windows 7 machine. When you download software from the web, most of the time it's going to show up in your downloads folder. So you go up here to your name, find your downloads folder, and voila, there it is. Windows software generally ends with .exe file extension, whereas Mac ends in .dmg. So if I double click that to begin the installation process, click Run, a couple of things are going to happen. It's going to be a little bit different. The installation process is going to be a little bit different than that of a Mac. Macintosh generally unzips the software and puts it all into one folder, whereas Windows has a tendency to unzip the software and kind of put parts and pieces scattered all around your machine. This is important, especially when we get into the process of uninstalling, because one of the things you're going to notice is when you uninstall software, it actually goes through the entire system, grabs every little remnant of that software, and removes it. It doesn't just remove the icon from the desktop. So here we're beginning the process of installation on Windows 7. You'll notice the little pop-up window that I just had says, are you sure you want to do this? You're going to need elevated permissions and privileges. In a Windows 7 environment, if you are an administrative user on the computer, you're the owner of the computer, you can install software without any problems. If you are a standard user, like maybe you've created an account for your children and you've made them just a standard user, they do not have rights to install software. So that's a good way to protect your computer from people installing stuff they shouldn't install. So here's the little window. Click OK. Let me close this window in the background. Next, most of the time in a Windows environment, it's going to just be next, finish. You know, that's pretty much going to be it. But I do recommend that you read this stuff. It'll tell you where it's going to be installed, the program files x86 folder. The name of the software is Blue Griffin. Do I want to create a desktop icon? Sure, makes it a little easier. And then click Install. I basically sit back and wait. So while that's going on, let me flip back over to my Macintosh and see, oh, good, it's finished. So now when I go to my Applications folder, I'll see there's the icon for Blue Griffin. To launch that application, let me close this. To launch that application, all I would need to do is basically click it. So if I click Blue Griffin, it takes a second. You'll notice my little Blue Griffin is bouncing on my dock. It takes a couple seconds and it'll open up. A couple things to note, especially in a Mac. When you install software, here's the file that I downloaded. It unzipped it to this drive. I'll need to get rid of all of that. Once I've installed the software, I don't need it anymore. Here you'll notice it says Blue Griffin can't be opened because it's from an unidentified developer. This is a security setting in Mac. So for example, your security preferences allow installation from only the Mac App Store and identified developers. I would need to change that. So I click OK. And in a Mac, I can go into my system preferences. Once I'm into my system preferences, I can find my security settings. And you'll notice, allow apps downloaded from Mac App Store and identified developers. Well, in this case, I want to install that, but it's not from an identified developer. So I could make a change to this to where it will allow me to install software from anywhere, which is probably not the best idea. Or I can just say kind of a one-time override, open it anyways. So click that. Oh, I have to make some changes on this. Okay. I'd forgotten my password there for a minute. So now I can tell it to open anyway. that Blue Griffin software begins to launch again, and you can see this Mac's running a little bit slow. I'm actually running Windows 7 and Mac at the same time on the same machine, so it has a tendency to slow it down just a little bit, but we can overlook that. It'll verify the installation, and in just a moment, Blue Griffin will open. If I'm a web developer and I'm accustomed to using this software, I needed to add that application software to my computer so that I can use what I'm accustomed to using. If for some reason I wanted to install other software, maybe it's from an identified developer, I wouldn't have had to go through all these security changes. But one of the things I did mention earlier is, here is the file that I downloaded. So now that I've installed it, I'm finished with that. I can drag that to the trash can. Likewise, this opened version, this unzipped version, I can drag that to my trash can, and that'll eject that. And now I'm back to where I was. Let me flip back over to Windows 7 and see how we're coming over there. When I flip back over to Windows 7, and this is the pop-up from the Macintosh earlier, just bear with me. It says completing the installation, launch the product, click finish, and in just a second it'll launch. Now, one of the nice things about Windows 7 file installation is you do get the option to automatically create an icon on your desktop, which in this case we did. Some more Mac pop up. So it's actually going through and it's opening this software now. The installation process is basically the same. I mean, it's whether you're on a Mac or whether you're on a Windows 7 or Windows 8 machine, it's pretty much double click the file and just follow the prompts. I do recommend that you read the prompts, however. Don't just blindlessly click next, 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 finish. Take time and read through the prompts. Now, back over on my Mac, I've made a change to this, so I'm going to lock this thing back down, close my system preferences, and you'll notice the Blue Griffin software is running. Now, I've never used this software, so I couldn't tell you anything about it. It was actually just a small file I found, a free file that I found that I could download. I may try it out to see. I may look at it and see. It is an HTML editor, and I have plenty of those already, but nonetheless, there it is. I'm going to quit that so that it closes it. Flip back over to my Windows machine, and you're going to notice, let's see, let me get through this. The look is the same. That's one of the things that I like about companies who make software both for Windows and Mac. Whether I'm on a Windows or on a Mac, the look of the software is still the same. That way I can be used to one and actually use it on both. Again, I've never used it, so I couldn't tell you very much about it. But nonetheless, once I've gone through and I've installed the software, I've used it, or I've decided that I don't like it, maybe for whatever reason, I want to uninstall it. Now, this is where it gets a little bit different. The uninstallation process is slightly different in Windows than it is in Mac. Let's go ahead and do Windows 7. In Windows 7, I click on the Start button, go to Computer, and you'll notice right across the top it says Uninstall or Change a Program. When I click on that, it's going to populate a list of software that is currently installed on my computer. It might be stuff that's important. It might be stuff that isn't important. Regardless, it's going to show me a list of pretty much everything that's on my computer. Find the product that you do not want. There it is. When I click it, notice the uninstall button lights up. I click uninstall, and Windows does a pretty good job. It will not only remove all the remnants and pieces of the program itself, but it'll remove, in most cases, registry entries that dealt with that particular program. So I click yes, that I do want to remove it and all of its remnants. Takes a couple of seconds. Follow the little bar, and then eventually it will successfully remove from your computer. Okay, so you'll notice the icon on the desktop is gone. The listing inside of the programs and features is gone. So that program is basically no more. I've downloaded it, I've installed it, and you'll notice it doesn't even show up in the program list. So that's how I would install software and uninstall software in Windows. In Mac, it's a little bit different. In Mac, I think it's actually easier. Go into your application tray. Here's that particular piece of software. I can grab it, drag it to the trash can. That's one way to do it. Or, depending on which version of Mac you have, you can use your launch pad Here's a list basically of all the software that's on my computer. There's Blue Griffin. Notice if I press, click, and hold, everything kind of gets shaky. I can move it around, or I can uninstall it depending on which, if it was downloaded from the App Store, I can uninstall it. Let's see, for example, iTunes. See these that have a little X? I can uninstall directly from the Launchpad if it was installed by the Mac App Store. If it wasn't, then in order to uninstall it, I can go back to my application tray, grab it, drag it to the trash can, and drop it. And now it is no more. If I go through my system and try to find Blue Griffin, I'm going to tell it to search the entire Mac. You'll notice it's searching, and it didn't find any records of it. So again, that goes back to the difference in how Windows and Macintosh installs software. Mac pretty much keeps it all in a single folder. When you uninstall or dump that folder, it takes care of all of it. Windows kind of spreads it out across different parts and pieces. So now we know how to install, we know how to uninstall. What about portable apps? I mean, let's face it, there are going to be times when you need a particular piece of software, but you want to be able to have it maybe on a flash drive, and you can use it at school, you can use it at home, you can use it at the public library. PortableApps.com is a wonderful, wonderful piece of software. This software, you can actually download it. It's free. You can download it and install it either on an iPod, an SD card, an external hard drive. You can even install it to your, what is that called? To your Dropbox account. I was trying to think what it was. It's Dropbox. You can install it to your flash drive, which is probably the most common. Buy an 8, 12, 16 gig flash drive. They're relatively cheap nowadays. Plug it into your computer and download portable apps. You actually install the software to your flash drive, and then you add application software to it. So you can add your favorite browser, Skype, LibreOffice, OpenOffice. There are a ton of different apps that are available at portableapps.com, and you can click here and take a look. There's just a few of them that are out there. Notepad++, wonderful editor. Xampp, great little piece of software there. Educational software, games. Every one of these, as long as you have a hard or a flash drive big enough, you can download, install portable apps on your flash drive, and then turn around and install all of this application software on top of it. PortableApps.com is a great way to take your favorite software with you from computer to computer, as long as you have access to a USB drive. What about web-based applications? We've talked about local applications, whether they be installed on your Windows or your Mac. We've talked about portable applications. What about web-based applications? Here's Google Drive, and this is my Google Drive account. I'm in the CIS110 folder. Let's say I wanted to create a Word document. As long as I have a free Gmail account, I can do this. I'm going to click New, Google Docs. And this is going to give me the ability to not only create a document, a Word document on my computer, but I can also, let it finish opening, I can also save this as a PDF. I can save it as a Word document. I can save it as a rich text file, whatever it happens to be. Type up my favorite document, make all the editing changes that I wish, change the name of the file, make the file searchable. There's a lot of different things that I could do. Now I'm going to add just a few things in here. You'll notice it automatically saves. As I type, it automatically saves. There's the file. Close this. And now when I come back to my list, I can see untitled document. Now I didn't give it a name. I could have if I wanted to. I'll rename it real quick. We'll call it Chapter 4 Test There's the file. That file can be downloaded, shared, whatever I want, or in this case, I want to get rid of it. I can simply remove it. Undo is available in case you accidentally did something you didn't want to do. But nonetheless, there you go. I mean, it's going to give you web-based software is pretty nice. Whether I'm on a Mac or a Windows, I can be anywhere in the world, even my smartphone or my tablet, and have access to my Google Drive, have access to my web-based software. Now, speaking of mobile devices, if you're going to install software on your mobile device, you're probably already familiar with the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Here's the deal. If you are an Android telephone user, an Android smartphone user, one of the things that you already know about is the Google Play Store. You go to the Play Store, you search up your favorite software. Maybe you have to buy it, maybe you don't. Download it, install it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Android phones will actually allow you to install software from unidentified developers as long as your security settings have enabled it. Very similar to what you saw just a minute ago in Mac. Apple, however, if you have an iPhone or an iPod Touch or something along those lines, you can only install software that is from the App Store, the Apple App Store. Now, the way it works is if I'm a developer, I've created myself an App Store account, I've paid my money, I create my app and I send it to them. They basically verify it, goes through and makes sure that it's legitimate software, that it works and so forth. Then they put it on their App Store. In order for me to install software not from the App Store, meaning my buddy just wrote an Apple iPhone app and I want to install it, but he hasn't gotten it on the App Store yet. In order to do that, you have to jailbreak your iPhone or your iPod Touch. And basically what jailbreaking does is it's a process called rooting. What it does is it allows your iPhone, it allows you to override security settings in your iPhone, or if you're rooting an Android device, it allows you to override security settings in your Android device. I do not recommend it simply because it does void warranty in some cases, so be careful doing that. If you are interested in doing it, however, there's plenty of information on Google on how to actually take care of it. As I mentioned a while ago, every piece of software, whether it be free, commercial, what have you, every piece of software has a license. It is unethical and actually illegal to buy one piece of software for a single use, a single computer license, single user license, and install it on multiple computers. For example, if I went out and bought a copy of Microsoft Office 2013 for one computer, one user, and I installed it on 5 of my friends' computers, that would be illegal. That would be a copyright violation. So take the time when you get the little pop-up, when you're installing your software and that little screen pops up that tells you about the user licensing agreement, take the time to read through it to make sure you aren't breaking any of the policies and laws that are contained therein. Some software has a registration code that you have to purchase in order to make the software work, in order to unlock the software. And some software simply you install it and that's good enough. Just be careful. Depending on what you're using, most of your free downloaded software does not have a registration code. However, some of them ask you to use your email address to register. Almost every bit of your commercial software does require you to input a registration key or a software key or something like that that unlocks your software for you. So again, if I'm installing software, whether it be on a Windows or on a Mac machine, I can install it. If I don't like it, I can uninstall it. I need to check the licensing agreement. I have the option to use portable apps if I want something on a flash drive that I can take with me from computer to computer, or if I know I'm going to be connected to the internet all the time, I can use web-based applications such as Google Drive and have the same user interface on every computer or tablet that I use and have access to it from anywhere.